Nathan Hilt. We're here at Money 2020, and I have the pleasure to interview Kevin Garlan. He's the North American lead for innovation at Citi. Kevin, welcome. Happy to be here with you. I have some prepared questions, and we'll chat about what you found to be successful at Citi.
Great, thanks, Nathan.
Fantastic. So the first one is around what do you see as the key drivers for innovation in banking?
No, it's a great question. I think here at Money 2020, obviously this list can go on and on. A lot of what we do at Citi is base all of our innovation work on the voice of our customers. And we're making sure that we're taking a business-led approach to enterprise innovation as opposed to a technology-led one. So with that, you could see today in the market anything from emerging technology, new business models, and the connected ecosystem concept, Industry 4.0, some of these new different marketplaces that we've never seen or thought possible before. They're bringing to the forefront a number of fantastic use cases that the banking sector, the financial service sector, big tech, fintech, and everybody sort of in between can start bringing some really great value propositions to market. So it is cliche, but it is probably one of the coolest and most exciting times to be not just in financial services, but specifically the payments, the transaction banking, and the overall treasury management space.
I agree. I do feel like there's a lot of activity here that's not just specific to payments, that's just in general around how to do something faster, something better, include more people. So I completely agree. So on that note, how do you think the innovation is actually changing payments of the future? Is there anything specific as we kind of dive into payments?
Yeah, so I think the sort of genesis for even part of your first question around why innovation and banking and why, right? So I think there's been a couple reasons for that. The evolution of new fintechs, or what 5-10 years ago could have been potential disruptors, which are now actually providing to be fantastic partnership opportunities, right? So Citi's taken a very pro-fintech approach. We have this in between our Citi Ventures unit and our actual business units, where we've partnered together to both invest in market fintechs, as well as partner with them and commercialize an opportunity to bring a joint market solution to bear.
Nice. And have you found that those have been easy to commercialize? Is it difficult, or kind of where do you put it in the spectrum? Just this is business as usual and kind of the future of how things are going to work?
No, so I think it's absolutely the way things are working now.
Okay.
The question is how much actually happens going forward. You're seeing a consolidation, obviously, in the payment space. 2019 alone, since January to here we are in October, it's been a very busy year for the consolidation of a lot of different types of players along the payments value chain. So that will probably only continue to happen. But then also thinking about how the new upstart payment companies will continue to add niche value-added services around that stack, if you will. And I think that's where, whether it's open banking, whether it's real-time payments, whether it's this idea of new digital collection and disbursement capabilities, we're kind of still only at the beginning, which is again a little bit scary, but also kind of fun to think that the art of the possible is only just starting to happen in this very fun and crazy world of payments.
Yeah, and is there anything of those examples where Citi has a particular focus? Because there is so much you could chase, there's so much to do. Is there anything, like I said, the top three or something you can share as particular focus for Citi?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're kind of lucky here today at Money 2020. This morning, we actually just announced our new consumer payment proposition branded Spring by Citi. And this is actually an end-to-end consumer payments platform, which will allow us to work with clients in the institutional space on a global basis to help provide merchant acquiring, gateway processing, and alternative payment disbursement capabilities in one single stack. And that's obviously something that anyone in the payment space knows has usually been pretty segmented between different providers in the ecosystem. And so we've been on a journey now to actually put that into a single consolidated approach, which can help our clients globally. And that'll see us in 2020 actually go live in select markets, and by the end of 2020, a global capability as well.
Okay, well, congratulations. That's a great announcement.
Yeah.
So in some of these things, you have to think about, like you said, what's in 2019, but then there is a track in front of us, a roadmap. What are some like best bets or things, based on what Citi sees and what you're focused on? Like, what do you see out there, whether you invested in or they're out there that would be considered best bets for the future in
Sure.
payments?
So I think there's two sides of the coin on that question. One is what we've done as Citi to help do that. And this year, we're actually celebrating the 10th anniversary of our Treasury and Trade Solutions Innovation Lab in Dublin, Ireland. So if you think about that story, it's a pretty great one, right? 2009, you could still say post-crisis, reeling from crisis, Citi invested in building an enterprise innovation function to help drive research, development, and new contemporary product development of new solutions for our clients around the world. That followed on 2 years later with the launch of our Singapore Innovation Lab, and now a global network, which actually works with clients across our 3 different sectors, whether that's corporate, Fortune 500 names, whether that's other financial institutions, as well as the public sector and government vertical, which is a large focus for the bank, on how we could actually think about, to your point, 2019 is great. How do we get ready for 2022 and 25 and beyond? And it's not so much what we could do as a bank, but it's listening to our customers to see where their strategic priorities are and how we can help them along that journey. So we can get in early and helping incubate and accelerate some ideas that are, for some people, maybe too far down the road, but we take a very focused approach to taking those bets on what the market has validated to us are topics of interest for their growth, and we want to be ahead of the curve, if you will, in doing that. And when you have a lab functionality, it sits a little bit outside of the business as usual vertical. So we actually have our lab catalysts around the world who have the bandwidth and capacity and focus and expertise to actually go after these new use cases, these new emerging technologies, or these new partnerships. So that's sort of the how I would say we've been able to do it. And then on the sort of what, there's even areas in trade finance. It doesn't get maybe so much focus here at Money 2020, but the other side of running a company or a treasury function at any large firm is obviously the ability to finance payables and receivables. It's a huge focus and product vertical for us where we've actually implemented in-market blockchain solutions to go after the digital supply chain space. And there are consortiums in markets such as Comgo, which brought banks together, brought oil and gas and commodity traders together on a single blockchain stack in this calendar year, which I think is a great sign for where the industry is going, where corporates, banks, and tech partners are maturing in their ability to actually commercialize these emerging technologies. Whereas if we had this conversation 5 years ago, you might still question the potential viability of a piece of emerging tech, whether that be blockchain, artificial intelligence, natural language processing. We're now at a point where all companies across the spectrum of maturity and size and scale and globality have actually started embedding these different and fantastically cool pieces of tech into their business proposition.
Fantastic.
It's still early. But I think, again, if you're just seeing this stuff starting now, think about what the next 10 years and beyond could be. And that's kind of where, again, fintechs, banks, everyone in between, it's going to be a hell of a ride, I would say, over the next couple decades.
Fantastic investment there 10 years ago. I can imagine what the next 10 years are going to be about. And I think this is
That's our slogan, by the way, so thank you. Innovating for the next 10.
Perfect.
So, thank you very much.
Go. As we think about, all the innovations you've talked about in the 10 years history, as you think through, who is going to benefit the most from the innovation taking place in payments as you kind of look at the future, think about where we are today?
Yeah, so I think the Futurecast, which is really exciting, is thinking about how many individual consumers and businesses around the world over time will be included in the financial service ecosystem. So if we think about financial inclusion, you still have populations outside the world that do not have a bank account. We've seen over the past several number of years, digital wallets and e-banking solutions bring them into the fold, but there's still an opportunity to continue to digitize the connective endpoints that we have in the ecosystem. You're also looking now at Industry 4.0, right? Internet of Things is a topic that all sectors are super excited by. So not only just people becoming more connected to the financial service ecosystem, but devices and computers and companies and governments all having a systematic way to actually think about new processes and ways to do things, and also the value-added use cases that come around that new engine, right? And these are things that we don't have today, so trying to think about them is obviously where the fun is. I was on a panel discussion with a large power drill manufacturer, and we actually talked about waking the audience up to think about how many people in this world still use a wrench or a screwdriver to get their daily tasks done. The idea of an electric or gas-powered hand drill still hasn't reached a really good part of this globe, right? So you think about bringing all of those individuals into a digitized, sort of ecosystem is where we see obviously the benefit from that end user all the way up to stack, to the service providers they work with every day, to people they interact with, and businesses, small businesses, mom and pop shops, large companies that they do commerce with every day. And then most importantly, which we can't forget about, is obviously their government, right? The public sector entities around the world that help provide citizens with the services that they need in their local towns, municipalities, and cities. So if you think about that all coming together between the individuals, the cities and places they live in, and all of the different providers, that's where I think, we'll see benefits that we can't even think about talking about on this chat today, but that's what the exciting part's going forward.
I agree. It's been a good 10 years and excited to hear about the next things at Citi and looking forward to the next 10.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.